Hello everyone, this is part 73 of What If Naruto Had Two Bloodlines, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. Naruto's eyes quivered at the sight before him. Through the window, he peered into his grandfather's hospital room to see him being fully covered, signifying his death. The rest of his body followed suit as it began to shiver from the shock of seeing his grandfather's death. He was even more shocked to see Tsunade break down inside as well. He lost control and his grip on the ledge weakened. Unaware of it, he began plummeting to the earth, crashing into it. Bath time had come to an end. Because their bath wasn't big enough for everyone, and Sakura's mother had suggested it, they took the party to the local bathhouse. It was all Sakura could do to keep her mother at bay. She wasn't the only one that was a bit out of control. Yuki and Ryuri seemed to have made a confession of who had grown more into a beautiful young lady. Ha, looks like I win, Yuki proudly claimed, looking down her nose at Ryuri. Unable to accept defeat, Ryuri pointed out, "You barely won, but you're no match against my sister." Yuki's focus shifted to the blushing young woman. As she tried to cover herself, Yuki claimed, "Yeah, well, I bet she isn't a match for Hinata. How did we get dragged into this?" Both blushing girls wondered. "Come here," Yuki and Ryuri demanded. Before things could get out of hand, Ryubi tried to be the first to exit the bath. As she did, she received a shock as she was startled by a sudden strange sensation. Someone had run their finger down her back. She turned back as Sakura exclaimed, "Mom! Control yourself." With a big smile, she said, "You have such beautiful skin, and you look so adorable with that tail of yours." Thank you." She looked at her and could tell that there was something more to her than just the smile she was flashing. It actually creeped her out a bit. Ryubi hurried out and quickly slipped on her robe. Ignoring a surprising yelp from Hinata and Sakura's scolding, that's when she noticed it. A flustered Hinata exited next, saying, Is something wrong?" The sun sprinkled onto her face with distinguishing whiskers. As the light broke through the thin blinds, blue eyes slowly opened and looked up at the ceiling. Of grogginess was released before the eyes shifted. The young blonde tried to sit up but found it difficult. Looking around, he found that he was being pinned by other sleeping frames. What's going on?" Naruto groggily questioned. Seconds later, he recovered from his drowse and was somewhat surprised at what he saw. On his left arm, which wasn't surprising, was Yuki, but on his right. Ryubi. Hearing her name, she began to stir. She opened her eyes and looked into Naruto's. With a blush on her face, she greeted him, placed her hand on his cheek, and moved in closer. "What the hell are you doing so early in the morning?" Yuki exploded. Everyone else awoke to the sight of Yuki pushing Ryubi's puckered face away from Naruto's. She finally gave up as Yuki forced her way between the two. As she sat up, Naruto could finally get a good look around the room. Ryuri was right behind her sister and Sakura and Hinata were leaning on each other against the wall behind him. He pushed his sister off, asking, "What's going on here?" Ryubi spoke up, "We found you in a crater near the hospital. She and Sakura saw to it that you were alright, and we brought you here." Naruto jumped up and began looking for the rest of his clothes when the door opened. In walked Sakura's mother, spouting, "If he's acting like this, maybe we should have left him there. Mom, he's my teammate and my friend." "Wait, is he the one that's always doing those amazing things you're always talking about?" Sakura nodded, unsure of where her mother was going with this. She found out as she said, "Oh, so, do you plan on taking him as a mate?" Sakura had a crazed look on her face as she grinded her teeth. She tried to shush her but nothing could stop this runaway train. "I suppose that he does look like he's got a nice physique. He's definitely a cute one, come to think of it, with all you've told me about him, and the fact that he's from that beast warrior clan, how would you like a little sister?" Everyone was in a state of shock from this. Their mouths were gaped until Yuki frantically claimed, I'm her little sister." Really? Sakura's mother looked at her questioningly. Okay, then, come here, my cute little daughter. She accepted, opening her arms. Hesitantly, Yuki took her up on this. She soon regretted this when she was nearly crushed by the massive embrace of Sakura's mother. This wasn't all. She became very hands-wise soon after. No one paid the two any attention as Naruto continued getting dressed. He flew out the door, thanking the others as he did. They were quick to put on the clothes as well and followed after him. They were surprised to be right back at the hospital. Are we here to check on Grandpa? Yuki asked. Naruto didn't say a word. He walked in and headed directly to his grandfather's room. In the hall, they ran into Tsunade. Seeing how cheery Yuki was, Tsunade could tell that she hadn't heard the news. How is he? Yuki cheerfully asked. Tsunade, nor Naruto, would answer her. Before she could connect the appearing distress on Tsunade's face and the silence, she was ambushed. Tsunade grabbed a hold of the siblings and pulled them into a hug. Sakura couldn't believe it. She started to back up as her master looked to the rest with sorrowful expression. She shut her eyes, and softly said, I'm sorry. What? Yuki was in disbelief. Tsunade held the two, feeling every rough breath from Yuki, but not from Naruto. He was like a statue, displaying no movement or emotion. Even so, Tsunade wouldn't let them go until she could hold on no more. This was just as much for her as it was for them. Word got out of Jiraiya's passing, and, a few days later, a funeral was finally held for the larger-than-life legend. Since hearing of his death, Yuki hadn't stopped crying, but, with his funeral behind them, she was beginning to dry up. She was still sad, but there were practically no more tears. Naruto, on the other hand, hadn't cried once, and it concerned those around him. Many of his fellow shinobi offered their condolences, wishing him and his family the best. It's sad that Master Jiraiya is gone. It must be tough losing your grandfather like this. I'm sorry for your loss. Overhearing this, a middle-aged villager says, your grandfather SD. I'm sorry to hear that. You have my condolences. As she and her male counterpart began to walk away, the guy responds by trying to quietly yell at her for what she had said. What did you say that to that kid for? Don't you know who he is? She responds, the poor boy just lost someone close to him. It doesn't hurt to be nice. Besides, he himself has never actually done anything too bad to the village. Naruto didn't say a word about anything. Yuki and the Dragon Sisters wanted to follow him as he tried to leave, but Tsunade suggested that they give him some time to deal with things on his own. Reluctantly, they agreed to allow this. They went their separate ways. Hinata, her family, and a few escorts, made their way to the Sky Village. She had some matters of her own to deal with there. The Dragon Sisters disappeared to who knows where within the village. After the funeral they were never seen around the village. And Yuki, whether she wanted it or not, was accompanied by Sakura wherever she went. You really don't have to keep me company, Sakura, I'm fine, she told her. It's nothing really, it's the least I can do. That's nice to hear, but, seriously, I'm fine, I think I'm all cried out. Losing my grandpa doesn't hurt as much as before. Even though she was saying this, Sakura knew that it wasn't quite as she was saying. For a great deal of Yuki's life, Jiraiya, her grandfather, was all she had in this world. Of course losing him would impact her greatly. I may not have lost anyone I love the way you have, but, I can understand how you might be feeling now. Yuki didn't respond. Seeing her big blue hurt-filled eyes, Sakura tried again. You've always thought of me as something like a big sister, right? Well, this might not help, but, you've still got me, and you've got Lady Tsunade and your grandmother as well. More importantly, you've still got your brother and several more people here in the village, your home. I guess what I'm trying to say is, both you and your brother have people that care and will always be there for you, so, you don't have to hide or bury your feelings. Seeing Sakura open her arms, Yuki threw herself at her. With her face buried in her chest, Yuki let out all the tears she hadn't so far. Sakura's mother kept her distance and proudly watched from the shadows. She didn't want to ruin this touching moment, but she would be sure to prove Sakura's claims. While Sakura and Yuki were getting down to the last of their feelings, Tsunade immersed herself into her work. While she focused on what message Jiraiya could have written on Fukasaku's back, she had as much manpower as she could spare on finding out as much information on the monster responsible for her dear friend's death. There was a knock at the door. Tsunade allowed entrance, and in came Shizune and Hitomi. She handed her a pad, the same that Jiraiya had been using in the hospital, and said, "When I paid him a visit, he was writing something, but he hadn't finished it. But now, there's more," she pointed out. Tsunade looked over the pad. Reading it, she found some much-needed information on the Akatsuki's leader, Pain, but it ended, "the real one." This must have been all he managed before he was interrupted by someone or sleep. It was confusing, but at least they now knew of the six boss that composed Pain, and a hint of their abilities. While everyone was finding a way to cope with their loss, Naruto did his best as well, but, by his appearance, he wasn't faring too well. He frightened many people as he walked through the streets with his odd differing eyes, one gold and one red, and devilish horns protruding from his skull. Everyone was sure to stay clear of his path, everyone that is, except for. "Hey, Naruto," a cheery voice called out to him. "Seems like things have been a little hectic for you lately. How about we unwind and talk about things over some ramen? It's been ages," Iruka suggested. Naruto barely lifted his drooping head, but did just enough to look into his former sensei's eyes and dully say, "No thanks." Iruka felt a cold sensation as Naruto walked by him. As he walked away, Iruka watched his back, thinking, he's hurting even more than he's showing. Naruto returned to his room. He changed out of the clothes he wore to the funeral and rested on his bed. His back against the wall, he looked to the ceiling. Even when the door opened, he was slow to react. His posture and expression hadn't changed when Yuki and Hitomi entered. Yuki could see that her brother was in pain. She smiled at him as she approached. Even after she hugged him tightly, there was no change. Hitomi could tell that he was very devastated. It would be hard to get him back to his cheerful and energetic self, but she would try. "Naruto, how are you holding up?" she asked. There was no response. "You can talk to me about it, if you'd like. It might help you feel better." Her eyes widened as Naruto made a motion. He sat up, away from the wall. Could it be that he finally wanted to express how he felt? It's all her fault, it's all that Granny's fault for sending him on something like that. If she hadn't, then. "Stop it, Naruto." Hitomi let out a sigh. I'm sure that Tsunade didn't mean to send him into such a situation, nor did she want to. In fact, I'm sure that she argued for him to stay, or take back up with him, but you know your grandfather, he can be a bit stubborn at times. Clenching his fists, Naruto spoke, "Ma, maybe you're right, the guys responsible for this, I'll make them pay." Hitomi could understand how he felt and wanted to keep him from doing anything rash or foolish. Still wanting to break through this hard exterior, Hitomi continued, "I'm sure that, at this time, we're both having similar thoughts and feelings on your grandfather's death. We both would like nothing more than to kill the bastards responsible for this, but we can't allow anything like that to control us. I'm not telling you that you should shut off your feelings and emotions like a shinobi is supposed to, not in the least. You should embrace these feelings so that you can eventually grow stronger from them and put them behind you. When you do, you will understand the world a little more." She took his clenched fist in her hands and lovingly rubbed it gently. As she looked into his eyes with her own soft expression, she was happy to see his horns receding. She reached out and kissed him on the forehead, saying, "Remember, you still have those who love and care for you deeply, and more are appearing every day. You're not alone, and never will." After a moment to let her words sink in, Naruto spoke up, I'm gonna go out for a while. I'll be back a little later." Hitomi allowed him. He got up from the bed and walked by his teary-eyed sister out the door. Once again, he found himself walking around town, contemplating what was in store next. For an unknown reason, he just stopped. He lifted his head to find an open store and entered. He came out with a familiar popsicle that reminded him of his time spent with his master, his grandfather, Jiraiya. A faint smile came to his face as he recalled how Yuki would always go on a rampage because there were only two and he and his grandfather would always take them for themselves. As he sat on a nearby bench, he couldn't bring himself to actually eat it. As it melted, the liquid snack wasn't the only thing sping to the ground. Naruto's feelings finally came rushing out to the surface. The scene of him finally expressing his emotions was even too much for the passerbys as they, even though they didn't know why he was reacting this way, felt for him. Eventually, one of these passerbys happened to be Iruka, on a stroll. He greeted him and began, "That seems like such a waste," referring to the melting popsicle. Naruto simply looked at him, golden eyes and tears shimmering in the moonlight. Iruka's opening line hadn't gotten him anywhere. He was gonna get right into it, but Naruto spoke himself. "I wanted him to keep watching over me, I wanted him to see me become Hokage, maybe have a family of my own and be proud to be a great grandpa. All he ever got to see was how troublesome I could be." "That you were," Iruka agreed. "Trouble definitely found you easily, but, despite that, Master Jiraiya praised you constantly. You were his new apprentice with a great deal of potential. On top of that, you were his grandson. He had faith in you and knew that, one day, you would become a man greater than himself, and an even greater Hokage. You wanted him to continue watching over you, but I'm sure that, even now, he still is somewhere. So, be the same you that he would always praise and be proud of, and I'm sure he'll happily watch you, till the end." Iruka took one of the sticks of the popsicle and, as he split them in two, said, "You've always been amazing, so, continue your amazing show, for Master Jiraiya." Naruto's eyes had cleared up. He was even smiling a little as he thanked his father-like figure, Iruka. They sat there, finished their popsicles, and went their separate ways. When Naruto returned to his room, Yuki was happy, a little misty but happy, to see him in a better mood. She hoped that this would continue and they could return to how things once were, more or less. Yuki wasn't the only one happy to see Naruto cheer up a bit. Ryubi, and even Ryuri, felt at ease after trailing him all day. Not wanting to ruin the mood, they decided to return to Sakura's place, where they were properly scolded for coming in at some random time of night. The next morning, Tsunade woke up early to get back to the investigation. She assigned many people specific tasks to complete as quickly as possible. Abiki and his group would be charged with interrogating the shinobi captured from the Rain Village. Shizune and her group of medic nins would hope to find out a little more about pain by performing an autopsy on the corpse brought back from Jiraiya's encounter, and, a very sleepy, Shikamaru was given a picture of the code on Fukasaku's back to take to the code breakers. He would lend them a hand in deciphering it. When everyone was out taking care of their assignments, the first calm moment of solitude managed to bring forth a great deal of emotions she had buried. She let it all out as she quietly cried on her desk. Shikamaru had done what he had been tasked, but it was no use. The code breakers couldn't decipher anything. Shiho, one of the code breakers, informed Shikamaru that they would need the key to accurately crack the code. This would be something or someone that may have known something more personal about Jiraiya and his ways. This was all he needed. Shikamaru returned to the Hokage Tower, thinking, "I hope I don't run into the Hokage and she thinks that I'm incompetent or something, that'd be a drag." Shikamaru rounded the corner and was surprised at who he had run into. He tensed up, to Sakura's, and the Dragon Sisters, surprise. She asked him what was wrong, but he replied, "Nothing," and went on his way. The girls followed him to Naruto's room where he knocked on the door. It was opened by a sleepy Naruto, and, in the background, a stretching Yuki could be seen. "Not fair," Ryubi quietly claimed, puffing out her cheeks. "What's up?" he dully greeted. "I need you two to come with me." "What? But why? I was gonna sleep in today," he whined. "I've already tried, Kakashi, so I've come to you now," Shikamaru told them, handing Naruto the picture. Naruto looked at it, but Shikamaru couldn't tell if he was out of it because he was still tired or if he was just being difficult. "Come with me," Shikamaru suggested. Maybe a little walk would get Naruto's gears turning. Sakura would have to stay put in case her master needed anything, but Shikamaru surprisingly led him to the hospital. As they waited, Naruto drifted into his own world. He remembered that when the third SD, the old man that was like his first real grandfather, anger took hold, and he wanted to vent it on any and everything. That all changed when Jiraiya began to spend more time with him, his second grandfather that he was getting to know. When he got a sister, things just seemed to get better from there, more or less, but now. "Here she comes." Naruto snapped out of it, saying, "Huh. Kurenai-sensei. What happened? When did you? No. Don't tell me. I don't want to know." It's a baby, Naruto, Shikamaru said. Kurenai had become much larger than she had been. It was a surprise to those that hadn't seen her in so long. A baby. Yuki and Ryubi became giddy. As she and Yuki felt Kurenai's belly, Ryubi looked to Naruto saying, I can't wait to have a few of my own someday. Naruto comically reacted by averting his gaze and whistling a random tune, pretending he hadn't heard a thing or know what she was talking about. He was drawn back by Kurenai suddenly saying, Stop coming here every day, Shikamaru. He replied by saying that he couldn't because, one day, the kid she was carrying, Asuma's child, would one day be his student. It's what he was entrusted with. He then said, You should know, I lost my master too, so, I have some idea of what you're going through. Believe me when I say, you'll get nowhere by screwing around the way you are. You can't afford to do that anymore. Not in the position you're in now. We've both been entrusted with things from our masters, so, it's about time we become the ones who lead instead of follow. It may be a pain in the ass, but we can't really allow ourselves to feel that way. Someday, you'll be the sensei and the one treating to ramen. We can't stay kids forever, not if we want to be as cool as Asuma and Jiraiya. This seemed to spark something in Naruto. It did with the others as well. Ryuri thought, he's pretty cool himself. Kurenai smiled at hearing Shikamaru. As she left, she said, All right, I'll leave you to what you have to do, Shikamaru-sensei. Shikamaru's smirk disappeared and was replaced with a blush. Hey, don't do something unnecessary, it's such a drag. Right, she said, waddling away. With her gone, Naruto asked to see the photo once more. He and his sister looked at it carefully as they were led to a place they'd never really noticed before. Inside, they found Shiho, a code breaker, waiting for them. From the moment they entered, the twins hadn't taken their eyes off of the photo. With AM from the two, Shikamaru said, You've been looking at that for a while now. Has anything come to you yet? He got another low M from them. I've already tried Kakashi, and I don't really want to have to take it to the fifth with the way she's been lately, so, I'm hoping that Jiraiya left this code for you. Shiho spoke up, If anything catches your eye, no matter how minute, please, let us know. Anything could be a big help. Well, now that you mention it, there's something strange about this code, Yuki finished. What is it? Naruto mentioned, Why are there all these numbers but there's this single katakana? Shikamaru and Shiho looked confused as the dragon sisters tried to take a better look as well. Yuki pointed it out, what everyone else had mistaken as the number 9. The twins revealed that, upon closer investigation, it was a strange quirk that Jiraiya seemed to have. This was the breakthrough they had been waiting for. Now, all that remained was to decipher the code. The next phase, checking the books Jiraiya had written, would be handled by Kakashi, who just happened to be passing by with one in his possession. They lucked out, as this was the very book that they would need to check. It was a long and painful process, but they finally got something out of their attempt. Shiho read back the first word of each line, the real one, isn't there. Although they had cracked the code, its message was too vague to comprehend. The best thing to do now, as suggested by Kakashi, was to run it by Fukasaku in hopes that he could shine a light on things. The message was shown to Fukasaku, but he had no clue either. Really? Naruto questioned. Well, this is no good then. Even though I was there too, I can't make anything out of this. What? Tsunade exclaimed. You were there. Naruto looked a little confused as he nodded his head. Everyone was surprised to hear this. That's where you disappeared too. I thought you had simply gotten Jiraiya when he was retreating. Kakashi stated. What did you see? Tsunade questioned. I don't know. I wasn't really there for too long, the place was a wreck. I could tell that there was a huge battle there. That's it. That must have been where Jiraiya boy and I last were. Fukasaku claimed. Ya must have just missed me. Naruto blinked like he was lost, but he continued, when I found Grandpa, he was in pretty bad shape. I tried to get him out of there, but these guys in Akatsuki cloaks showed up. I managed to give them the slip and get Grandpa to safety. Where you showed up in front of us, Kakashi finished. But, you were a little beat up as well. You must have fought them yourself. Maybe you can give us a little more. Well, there were. Naruto began counting on his fingers, 6 guys, 5 of them were in Akatsuki cloaks, but there was a strange guy with red eyes that wasn't wearing a cloak, or a shirt for that matter. The Sharingan? Kakashi inquired. No, it definitely wasn't the Sharingan. What about their abilities? It's kind of hard to explain. It was like, he motioned and made the sound effects for an explosion. No one really understood what he was trying to say, and Naruto couldn't find the right words to describe what he'd witnessed. This proved to be no more useful than anything else they had already managed to learn. Not that everything left by Jiraiya was useless. He had left a pad with some hints of the abilities he'd encountered in his fight with Pain, almost in the same manner as Naruto just had, but Tsunade couldn't imagine what these were. She hoped that she wouldn't have to find out, however. Akatsuki Lair. There seems to have been some delay, Madara stated. I had an unexpected guest, the legendary Jiraiya, Pain, revealed. No wonder then, I guess his title was well earned if he gave the invincible Pain a hard time. Konan sat quietly, but it could be seen, just barely, that she didn't like Madara's tone. Pain mentioned that he was going to get back to hunting the 9 tails, and Madara informed them that the 8 tails would be taken care of as well. Getting up from his seat, he warned, the Leaf will be on guard after your encounter with Jiraiya. The more time that passes, the more likely it is that they come up with something. Move quickly but be smart. Konan spoke up. Pain is invincible, he'll surely capture the 9-tailed fox, no matter what. Instead, you should be more concerned with the one you sent after the 8 tails. Do you think he's up to the task? It took some convincing, but I can vouch for Sasuke. Then, we'll do our job. Pain stood to his feet. Get ready, Konan, we're heading for the Leaf Village. As they left, all Pain Boss including a new female one and Konan, Madara was left alone, or so it would seem. Will you be going along? Madara questioned. Nah, the red-eyed man responded, revealing himself. If he succeeds, he'll be bringing the kid back, so, no skin off my back. I'll take what I need when he returns. He flashed a smile that could be construed as him having a malevolent intent. I may have to watch my back with this guy, Madara figured. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.